Welcome to ThisDayLive, the Sunday talk show where we discuss all things political, bringing you the top stories locally, nationally, and from around the world. I'm Reuben Abati, and ThisDayLive begins now. I'm Reuben Abati, your host for ThisDayLive, the Sunday talk show. I'd like to welcome our special guest for today. Joining us today is Tanwa Ashuru, a security expert. She'll be here later on the program. But to my left, immediately, I have Professor Bola Akinterinwa, former Director General of the Nigerian Institute for International Affairs, now Director General of the Bolitag Institute for Security Studies and International Relations. Also with us today is the Executive Director of Enough is Enough, Yemi Adamolekun. She will come on the program much later. But right here at this moment is Ayo Teriba, the CEO of Economic Associates, our resident economist. And then, of course, we have Wale Olaleye, political expert, the expert on political matters, and deputy editor at ThisDay. Gentlemen, you are welcome. It looks like an all-male cast in this first segment, but the ladies will join us later. Now to our first story. During the week, Nigeria moved closer to turning a landmark oil industry bill into law after a 17-year struggle to complete the legislation, which aims to increase transparency and stimulate growth in the country's oil industry. Nigeria's House of Representatives has finally passed the version of the bill approved by the Senate last year. This is the first time both houses have approved the same version of the bill, which still needs the president's signature to become law. The legislation, known as the Petroleum Industry Bill, PIB, was broken up into sections to help get it through. The passage of the first part of the PIB suggests that the government can move forward with other parts, including new taxation legislation, to make Nigeria more attractive for investment in the industry. In another development, Nigeria filed a claim against JP Morgan Chase for more than $875 million, accusing it of negligence in transferring funds over a controversial oil field transaction, OPL 245, to Malabo. Morgan dismissed the allegations as baseless and without merit. In a related development on the same transaction, late last year, a Milan judge ruled that Shell and ENI must also stand trial in Italy over alleged bribery. Why was the oil reform bill jinxed, and what broke the jinx? Many questions. How does this bill improve matters in the oil sector? Why did the bill sit in the lower house for 7 months? Now, these are some of the questions we'll look at as we discuss this program with our expert, Bode Ososami, joining us from London. Hi, Bode. Hello. Hi, Bode. Good to have you on the program. Hello, Bode. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Good to have you on the program again, and welcome to ThisDayLive. Hi, Bode.
Thank you, Reuben.
Yeah. Well, this is a new development, but why did the bill sit in the House of Reps for 7 months?
Yes. Well, the bill has been said to be a complex bill, although it's being simplified by focusing on the governance, and one would have expected it to have moved much faster. But like you know, there are a lot of interest, and many were trying to pull back some of the issues, like the host communities and other things, the people, which are going to come up. And there was an attempt to have another bill, but I think that attempt stalled. And what we have on the ground is the bill that was passed at the Senate, and I think they decided that they want to move it forward, which is a good idea. But although it's 6-7 months, it's better than nothing, and I think it's important that we run with this one.
Well, if I may ask you, why was the oil reform being jinxed, and what broke the jinx? I mean, what has happened?
Well, over the years, observers have seen a lot of interest in the oil sector. The host communities, the multinationals, so the fiscals of interest in some people, the award of blocks, who does what happens to NNPC, privatization. There's so many issues. And if you try and tweak one, every other thing comes out as a box. So these interests have made it very difficult to resolve. The last government did their best in trying to bring everything together in an omnibus bill, but that didn't fly. I think, or I suspect, the politics also plays. You know how it is in Nigeria. A good bill by a government that you see as opposition or a government you're fighting with becomes a bad bill. So the politics obviously came into it, and what is inherited is now a portion of the bill which focuses on governance. Governance is about how things are organized, who does what, and how things are grouped.
Well, I mean, thank you very much. I mean, your inputs are always highly valued. We'll come back to this subject, I believe, some other day. Yeah, thank you very much. Well, gentlemen, you listen to him. The issue about the Petroleum Governance Bill, broken down, it's been there for years. It's been very controversial. I'll come to you, Ayo Teriba. You must have been following this.
Oh, yes. I think we should commend the National Assembly for eventually, doing the needful as far as the components, that they've singled out. And it's good that they entertain the flexibility of taking part of it out and dealing with it. And I hope they can, in that process, dispense with the remaining parts. So say well done and do more of it, basically.
Prof, what's your take?
Well, after many years, the legislators in particular, other stakeholders in general, are now beginning to see more clearly. There is no disputing the fact that oil, all right, is the mainstay of our economy, all right, for now. Now, the situational reality is such that people are now beginning to see why there is the need to manage, all right, these scarce resources, So in this case, I will agree with Ayo that we should commend them, even though it is late. There is another point there. You see, internationally speaking, some analysts have suggested that in the next 30 years, our reservoir, right, can be a thing of the past. It will dry. But we still have gas as another alternative to crude oil. All these are contained in the bill, well defined. So the bill, essentially, when the president assents to it, when it becomes law, we expect that under normal circumstances, we will even respect the spirit and the content of the law. At the end of the day, what they have done here, for me, is still not a big deal at all. It's not a big deal.
Okay, I mean, I like your inputs, but maybe we should go back to Bode Ososami in London, expert, oil and gas expert. Bode, are you still there? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Hello, Bode, are you still there? Okay, if I may ask you, I mean, how does this bill, how do you think it will improve the situation within the oil industry? How does it improve matters in the oil sector, oil and gas sector? Hello, Bode, can you hear me? How does this bill improve matters in the oil sector?
Yes, I can hear you now. Well,
So
the
how
bill is
does
very
it-
important for the oil sector in the sense that you're trying to reform the oil environment, the oil sector.
Yes.
Well, you're trying to reform the sector. You're trying to improve how things are done, make it more productive, make it more competitive. And what they've done here is to put a better framework, a better institutional framework, separating the functions better. So you have a policy role head done by the ministry. You also have a regulatory role with autonomy and with a lot of independence, which has a board. You have a regulatory commission, which is looking at the regulatory function. And then you also have the function that looks at the assets. That's the asset management.
Its own board set up according to Company and Allied Matters Act. So it's set up under very commercial principles. Indeed, it will be a commercial grade entity. And then you also have these other entities. What is also important is that the power of the minister is checked extensively in the sense that the minister needs the recommendation of the regulatory commission to award blocks, award licenses. In the past, that requirement was not there, and you see unilateral award. Also, the fact that the way has been paid for the privatization of NNPC, the NOC, according to the bill, 10% of the shares of the NOC can be sold within 5 years and 30% within 10 years. So we see all these things in the bill to pave the way for a commercial, more competitive environment. But this is the first of the bill. This is the governance bill, this is the fiscal bill, the bill that will look at host communities and other aspects. So it is a start. It doesn't dot all the I's. But if you have waited 17 years for something, you don't begin to look at it too closely. I think you can run with this and improve on it as it goes on.
Well, that was Bode Ososami from our London studio commenting on the PIB governance bill. It's not time now for a short break here on ThisDayLive. When we return, we'll be discussing Nigeria's state of security in 2018. Do stay with us. Welcome back to ThisDayLive. One subject on the lips of many Nigerians in 2018 is security. How safe are we in this nation now? People keep asking. With the rampant Fulani herdsmen killings, Boko Haram attacks, recent increase in kidnapping, and as 2019 elections draw closer and closer, people are unsure of their safety. What are the key security issues, and how can we best prepare to overcome them as citizens? What should our security officials do better, and what do we all need to know to be proactive in this country? Joining me to discuss this issue is Tanwa Ashiru, a security expert who has been involved in counterinsurgency and counterterrorism operations in Southwest Asia, the Middle East, and also in Africa. Tanwa has also worked with the Department of Defense and the U.S. National Security Agency. Tanwa, very proud of your achievements. Welcome to ThisDayLive.
Thank you so much.
Now, you must have been monitoring the situation in Nigeria and
Yes.
the crisis we've been facing.
Yes.
What do you think 2018 holds for Nigeria?
Well,
with all
you know
this?
what? I'm going to try not to make people worried, but we probably should be worried with regards to security in this year. First of all, we know that in Nigeria, security is pretty tied to the economy as well. So as the economy just starts going crazy, there's a lot of pressure even now. There's a few queues outside. I mean, just there's a lot of tension in society. So when we see that, we see an increase in civil unrest, protesting, both violent protests, peaceful protests, ethno clashes like we're seeing now in the Middle Belt. The climate change issue as well is probably also causing some of the herdsmen to come further south, and then they clash with the farmers. So we're probably going to see a bit more of that going forward. With Boko Haram, we still have the Boko Haram attacks that are still taking place. And even recently, the Niger Delta Avengers as well are coming out to say, hey, you know what, we're still around, so you need to, answer us or else we'll start blowing things up. So I think our security agencies are going to have a lot of things in their hands this 2018.
Well, I mean, you are a security expert, and one major issue now is the crisis with the herdsmen.
Yes.
Do you think it's been handled well?
It could be handled better. So no, I don't think it's currently been handled well.
What do you think is wrong?
Well, there are a lot of things that are wrong. Number one, actually, and this is a problem that we all face together as Nigerians, is there's this cultural ignorance, I would put it that way. We don't know anything about a lot of other tribes in Nigeria. We are just, even when you hear...
Don't use tribes, say ethnic groups.
Well, ethnic groups. So there you go. Yes, so ethnic groups. Because then you have people come out and say it's Fulani herdsmen, but then how are you sure? I mean, you have other groups, other ethnic groups that also herd cattle. Some of them have hung around Fulanis, and so they speak Fulani, but that doesn't mean that that's where they're from. So there are all these different issues that come to play, especially within that area. So there's a lot more we need to do, number one. Number two, the security infrastructure. I don't know about you, but look at Lagos State, right? Lagos State was going crazy. Eventually, we had a governor who said, you know what, enough is enough. Took a bucket, went around to everybody and said,
enough
this is
enough.
Took a bucket, went around to everyone and said, look, everybody put money in this bucket. We're going to use this money to secure, the state. And that's where the Lagos State Security Trust Fund came up. And that's because the government, obviously, at that time, couldn't afford it, and so they came up with this strategy. So in my mind, a state like Benue, they've been going through this for a long time. Really, what is the state government or governor or whatever trying to do to fix or to help this situation? There are other things also involved when we look at the activities of the police, because really, when it comes to this, and people ask me, well, which agency is really, the one who's in charge, or who should we blame? I hate to play the blame game, but this really is a civil issue, and as such, the police force is supposed to be the ones actively involved. So I kind of get a bit worried when people say, oh, the military should go, some people said they should bring some bases and install bases there. But it's not. Yeah, it's the military. Exactly.
But also, I think probably speaks to confidence in military action over the police.
Absolutely. And, and that's the issue we have as well, because we're only as strong as our weakest link. And the military, yes, maybe they're strong. Maybe the DSS is strong as well.
For instance, the Rivers killing and how the military moved in and then, got those guys and killed them, and then you've not been able to do anything as far as the herdsmen attacks are concerned.
Exactly.
Well, you are the expert.
Yes.
I mean, you must have heard about the Chibok girls. Now, some of those girls have not been found yet. What do you think it would take to stop Boko Haram bombing attacks and also to get the remaining girls?
It's interesting. I had a chat earlier with Ms. Yemi over here, and I was saying that I find it very interesting that we know who to talk to get some girls released. And for me, obviously, it means that we know people, like, right? The security, the leaders, they know. I mean, someone knows someone who knows someone who knows where Shekau probably is, who probably knows where the girls are. Because think about it. Recently, we just got someone who was able to get a video of the girls, and it was given to a journalist. So people know the other people. We know the actors involved. I just think that it's about time for us to, I guess, just say, you know what, we're done. This needs to stop, this needs to end, because war is very expensive, and that's probably what is also affecting us, affecting the economy in the country. So we may not realize it, but we are all suffering as a result of what's going on over there as well.
Well, Yemi and Wale, you probably have some questions for her. She's the expert. She's been in Afghanistan.
She's survived Afghanistan.
The work that we do, my question would be, what can citizens do? Like, where are the pressure points that would actually move when we, just as you said for the Chibok girls, there's some knowledge that is not being leveraged appropriately. It's being leveraged for swaps, like cash swaps in a sense. But how else can citizens get involved to push that the people who do know do the right thing?
Okay, so I once heard, someone once told me that, look, I don't think this Boko Haram war is going to end because it's really actually making the economy in Maiduguri and in Borno states kind of pick up. And so in that aspect, we're saying, look, if we're going to end this, the citizens actually need to actively participate. That also includes them speaking with the military, sharing information with them. But then this is also where trust comes in. Can they trust that if they share that information, it doesn't go back to Boko Haram and then it comes back to them, and they can show up at night because the military is not there and say, hey, we know that you're a father or you're the one that shared information with the military, and then burn down their houses. So that trust needs to be there as well. But the citizens themselves just need to just know it's enough. It's okay. Yes, we get it with the NGOs. hold their leaders accountable, hold their governors accountable, share information, leak it, do what you have to do, because, I mean, it's just that they have to play a bit more of a larger role for sure.
All right, ranching, cattle colony, which one is best for us?
They're not the same thing.
They're not.
Okay. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer, ranching. It's a no-brainer. I mean, they need to be stationary, let the cows eat, let them get fatter, let's breed them properly, you know, treat them well, and all of that. But then we're looking at fighting a years-long established behavior, okay? And we all know change, this is culture. Change is hard. And if you're gonna go after a culture of a whole ethnic group, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time to be able to defeat that or change that. But it can happen. Did you just read recently the Ghanaian president actually released something? This was just like recently, and he said, "Look, if you find any cattle on the streets of Ghana, barbecue. This is not Nigeria. This is not Nigeria." But that just means. But then you can't do that in Nigeria. I mean, we're at such a different makeup over here.
No, even just to your point, the process. So Ghana, the report that I heard, they'd been on it for 25 years. The court order was from 2012. So it was this year that they just said, you know what, we're giving you 6 years to comply, cows out. So it also took a process. I mean, no, I'm not saying that that's the best time. But my thing was that process. It took time. It's not, we don't have a magic wand to
But you could tell evidently nobody complied.
I think the bottom line of it, of course, is that all of this is political. The politics in Ghana is slightly different from the politics in Nigeria.
Of course.
So we're dealing with very serious politics, okay? And, you know, when you made that point, I said, well, you know, in Nigeria, the politics is different. Ethnicity, religion, all of this, you know.
Yeah, but I think at the heart of it, which is to Tanwa's point, I think part of it is also a lot of dishonesty. So yes, there's a point, unless we're saying, well, politics is dishonesty. Yeah, dishonesty in leadership, dishonesty in also this whole sense of Nigeria as Nigerians. So you're saying that I might not understand how someone can think a cow and a human are parallel. But for me, it's a statement of, it is what it is. No, but it's what it is. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to subscribe to it. But I need to understand it if I want to solve the problem and not discard it. But because we are in a bubble of how can they, yes, that's what they are. So let's deal with it in that way, yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, Tanwa. Great delight to have you on the program. It's not always that we have an expert, you know, who has been to Afghanistan, who has been to the Department of State and all that. Well, you are watching ThisDayLive, this Sunday talk show here on the Arise News with me, Reuben Abati. We're going to take a short break now, but stay tuned. When we return, we'll be discussing President Buhari's recent comment that has many Nigerians talking. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to ThisDayLive, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. President Muhammadu Buhari says he's not ready to do anything in a hurry. He made these remarks during a dinner with the chieftains of his party, the All Progressives Congress, APC, at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He said, "I keep telling people that while I was in uniform, quite reckless and young, I got all the ministers and governors and put them in Kirikiri. I said they were guilty until they could prove their innocence." He further said, "I decided to drop the uniform and come back. This is why I'm not in a hurry virtually to do anything. I will sit and reflect and continue with my clear conscience." Should the president make such a statement? Gentlemen, should the president make such a statement? No, Nigerians are impatient, and their president says he's not in a hurry to do anything.
Without appearing insolent or rude, I would think that was reckless, honestly. He would take his time to do things, and yet he appended his signature on an appointment that had 8 dead people. How more could he have been careful? So what is he saying? For me, I've always said this time and time again, the president lacks the capacity to deliver leadership, QED. So giving such excuses, they won't even fly. I think I wonder what the kind of factors that, you know, form his thought process. The same thing he went to the United States to when he was asked a simple question how he would address the agitations in the Niger Delta, and he gave the 95% 5% theory. For a president of a country, even Obama, when he won his re-election, regardless of how divided the election was, he said, look, stop designating us as red and blue states from this point. The elections are over. I have won. I'm the president of all Americans. And then you will go to the same America to say the way you are going to treat those who give you the same 95% is different from how you treat those who give you 5%. I don't think that is leadership.
Well, Prof, 3 years down the line, the president of Nigeria says he's not in a hurry. And Nigerians are saying, look, we're impatient. We can't see what you are doing. 3 years down the line.
You see, we need to understand the statement very well. There is a fundamental difference between anything and something. Now, if he says he is not in a hurry to do anything, the implication is that whether you want to make noise, take trumpet, agitate, you want restructuring, you want to protest, anything applies at that level. And he says he's not in a hurry to listen to it. And that's where the danger lies. The major problem with not being in a hurry to do anything is that he is saying, I don't care, right? That is the analytical implication. If he says, I'm not in a hurry to do something, it now falls at the level of taking initiative, reacting to people's requests. In other words, the statement, I think, is not intended. It's because he didn't know. But he was actually saying the reality, that he's not in a hurry to do anything. Why? When he was a soldier, he admitted that he was young and he was reckless, according to that statement. Now, military regime, that's why in international relations, international politics, there's a distinction between a head of state elected and a head of state who came by force of power. When you are elected, you are called president. Force of arms. Yes, force of arms. You are called president. Now he is a president. Before he was not. You must go through democratic processes. You cannot come in the morning and make a manu military statement, and because decision taking in the military is vertical. You give order and everybody is running, obey the last order. But now, in a democratic setting, please, you have the checks and balances. So he cannot be in a hurry. It's not possible. So this time, he's consciously admitting that we are in a democratic setting. So whatever suggestion he has, whatever plan he has, some people must have input. And that's why he cannot be in a haste. The best he can do is making haste slowly.
Well, I mean, you know that it took President Buhari almost 3 months to even appoint his personal aides. It took him 6 months to put a cabinet together. So if he says he's not in a hurry to do anything, so he's probably saying the obvious, because he has never been in a hurry to do anything.
Yeah. But
well,
I do think
Ayo Teriba,
I think it's important.
Your perspective is important.
Well, it's important to situate the remarks in context. Once you take it out of the context, then it connotes, you can interpret it, and apply it to events, any event, and it begins to look negative. But if you restrict yourself to the context in which he made the statement, he was talking to his party men.
Yeah.
He is currently, people are declaring his intention to run on his behalf, and he has not personally come out to say he wants to declare. So my understanding when I had the statement, it was part of That was part of it. That I'm not in a hurry. Yeah, I'm not in a hurry.
No, that's
I'll take
not
my
the
time.
contest.
That's not the contest.
He was talking to party men.
No, he was talking to party men, but he was speaking in the context of responses to what has happened in Benue, the killings of innocent farmers by herdsmen. And he said, look, he is not in a hurry to do anything. And that's the source of the outrage by Nigerians, to say, how can you say you are not in a hurry to do anything?
With the killing of
With the killing of human beings, and with some people saying that the life of cattle, of cows,
has
become more important than the life of human beings. That is a contest.
Yes.
How do you react to that?
You want to take that again? Now that you understand the context.
No, you want to reconstruct it?
Well, I hope you have not stretched the context.
No, I'm not. No. I'm a very honest arbiter. No, I've just reported to you as a reporter.
Yeah. So it's capable. The statement is capable of multiple interpretations. He's like Prof said that he is admitting that, in contrast to when he was a dictator, he said he sent people to jail, presuming them guilty until they proved otherwise. So he's contrasting that with now, that he has to respect, if you like, democratic processes, as Prof said. So I think that.
But the truth of the matter is that even the Buhari government has not respected court rulings. There's a big issue about the rule of law. So if you say, well, when I was a soldier, I did this. Yeah, when you are not a soldier and you are a Democrat, what have you done? The simplest thing you can do differently is to respect the rule of law.
Well, you have to be careful about that, in that you have to make exceptions, The government has responsibility for security.
No.
And rulings relating to people.
No, national security is not superior to the rule of law. National security is part of the rule of law.
Yeah. Some of the,
So what
if you
you
give
examples
of what rulings.
No, if you object,
Recall that the court overruled Trump.
if you object,
who have been detained.
Recall that the
if
court
you object-
overruled Trump.
No, let's simplify it. If you object to the ruling of the court of law, the only redress that you can seek is in the court of law.
Absolutely.
Not self-help,
At all.
not dictatorship.
You are not talking about an individual. You are talking about security agencies. Yes.
Yeah. The state,
So-
the state must
Trump
operate under the rule of
Trump
law.
wanted certain countries banned on national security. The court overruled
you are
it.
dealing with terrorism,
The court
or
overruled the president.
insurgency.
Like what? Like we never had
have to
before.
wait.
There's a
You
terrorism
have to
act.
wait.
There's a terrorism act. It's also under the rule of
So
law.
if it's on those grounds, on grounds of security or terrorism, that you are saying that there are
Like
court
what?
rulings that they have
Like
not to
what?
do.
You see, Ayo, let's
These
look
are
at the problem differently.
gray areas.
The point you are trying to explicate is simple, that there's rivalry between security and rule
Justice.
of law.
Yeah.
No, not justice. Not justice this time. Because in the quest for justice, you cannot disobey law. It's not possible. Then where is the justice if you are disobeying? But you see, the issue is that at the end of the day, if we are talking about ruling of the court as distinct from judgment of the court, ruling is within the framework of an ultimate judgment. Now, the Buhari administration does not have the culture of respecting court rulings, not to talk of court judgment. Now, and at the same
Maybe examples will help.
yeah, you see,
Really?
Yeah.
you see,
examples.
the courts.
Sasaki, Dasuki.
You see, all these are security issues.
Are you serious?
Oh, yes.
They are human rights issues. They are not security
They are not
issues.
security, they are
They
human
are
rights.
human rights
Look
issues.
at what happened.
Yeah.
Many of those visiting the IPOB leader and campaigning for his release.
No, he didn't talk about IPOB.
And
He
government,
raised the issue
no,
of
it's
Dasuki.
similar. People were calling for his
exactly.
release at the time. See what happened when he was released. Many of them are quiet now. I mean, those of you that were visiting him.
Ayo Teriba. Yeah, a special member of this panel. No. I like the way you defend the Nigerian government.
No, I'm not defending the government. I'm expressing my views. I'm expressing my views.
I like the balance.
People kept quiet. Those who stood for him, stood shorty for him. Where is he now?
What Ayo should be doing, for us here, we are not opposing, we are not defending any government.
Yes.
We want to defend the truth. Yeah. Objectivity of purpose.
Yes.
So we be dealing with the hard facts.
Yeah.
If it favors any government, let it be. If it is against, but the issue is this. For God's sake, we cannot be talking about evolving a democratic culture. And at the same time, you are disobeying the laws you make for yourself.
Yeah, well,
that's a contradiction.
You are giving extreme examples, you know.
Extreme?
Yes, debatable examples.
But debatable. It is sacrosanct. What's information?
You don't have, that I don't have.
What's information?
Yeah, well, leave them to defend themselves.
These security agencies battling each other.
I think the takeaway from all of this is that the president of a country with urgent matters, important matters of national importance, cannot come around and say he's not in a hurry to do anything.
Yeah, well,
Nigerians
you can stretch it if you
Nigerians
want.
are in a hurry.
Yeah.
They want a government that is in a hurry to deal with the issues that affect them. The issues of security, issues of the economy, even the payment of salaries. Nigerians are impatient. Their expectations continue to rise. Prof, you have the last word, and then we close this program.
I think we should advise our president not to become another Donald Trump in a different setting. Here, you rightly pointed out, Nigerians are desperately in haste. You have a 4-year mandate. Now, you are already towards the concluding part, and you say you are not in a haste. And yet, you are dreaming of 2019 for re-election. Are we now going to carry?
It's not in a haste about that.
Before you close the session, have you wondered what probably was running through his mind when he said he was still in shock that former President Jonathan considered defeat?
Well, maybe you'll talk about that later. Let's go on break. You know, we're not closing the program yet. We'll close this session, this segment. It's time now for a short break here on ThisDayLive, the Sunday talk show. When we return, we will be discussing other issues. Welcome back to ThisDayLive, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, has concluded plans and announced his intentions to set up a Department of Traditional Medicine at the Federal Ministry of Health, stating that the government will move closer to the people with this initiative. With the creation of this department, the minister believes certified drugs with local content will be produced in large quantities and not degenerate. As compared to imported drugs, which sometimes expire before getting into the country. He also went on to talk about how this new development will also generate revenue. Now, gentlemen, the Minister of Health is just saying you are now free to take Origin, Alomo, Casaprenco.
He didn't say that.
What are you saying? I know what you guys take. It's all in the territory of traditional medicine. Prof, I mean, I know in China, traditional medicine is promoted. And for years, talking seriously, in Nigeria, the Traditional Medicine Association, they've been asking for recognition of herbalists and all of that. So talking seriously, but you guys should take Origin and all that. It should make you happy. Okay, then you go first.
It's a positive development.
Yeah.
Very positive.
In that we know.
So
the fact that you have the modern medical practice.
Doctor knows too much. He knows too much.
The fact that you have the modern medical practice doesn't mean you will ignore what our forebears used to, the remedies.
Used to sustain them.
Yeah, the traditional remedies. So if this is an attempt to try and assimilate whatever knowledge we have in traditional medicine and standardize them and, make them available for the benefit of all, then it's a very good development.
For me, I think he hasn't done anything out of place or special. What he has just done is give formal recognition to it. People have continued to use the alternative traditional medicines, and I just think giving that official recognition is commendable. I mean, that's it.
Well, Prof, this is an old issue. I mean, and what medical doctors talk about is that there are no standards, there are no measurements, and so there's risk involved. Okay, it's not enough to just say we are recognizing alternative medicine. What of the risks involved? What about measurements? What about standardizing the dosage and all of that?
Well,
yes.
I think that Wale's contribution itself makes what he told us more important. I'm using your argument to say that what the minister has done, Professor Adewale, is fantastic. He has translated into action, all right, what people have been talking about. Lambo, even Professor Lambo and the Lambo herbalist, everybody talked about the need for working, improving on traditional medicine. But nobody has been courageous enough, like the current minister, in putting what is appropriate. He has suggested the establishment of a department. The meaning of that one is that the department will not only be engaged in bringing all this, but they will be engaged in research. Now, you talked about dosage. Of course, please, most of the things the advanced medicine is all about, they talk about quantification, dosage. Please, I am aware, and there was a staff here who was in the computer department here in this day, who had this problem of excess blood and excess sugar in his blood, something. Diabetes. Now, people will tell you, modern doctors will tell you, you can only control, you cannot cure. The same argument is advanced for hypertension, blood pressure. I am saying that in the villages, all right, there are many, herbs put together to cure many things they claim in the West are not curable. So I think that we should commend and then encourage the minister to ensure that the way the Chinese are going about their own traditional medicine, especially acupuncture, that we focus greater attention on research and then see. The Hausas, if you see them, you go to Sabo, when they have broken legs, all right? The way they will bring just ordinary sticks together, tie, you will never believe.
Bone setting.
Bone setting.
Bone setting.
And then you go to Igbobi, they create many obstacles for people at the level of registration, the cost, all along. And then you now see these local people, how they go about it. Please, I think that we need to encourage.
Well, the truth of the matter is that we're in the age of knowledge, we're in the age of information, and over the years, both the ministry, the federal ministry, even at the state levels, they've been collaborating with herbalists, and even the herbalists, they have their annual festivals. So what this department may probably do is to push that forward, that collaboration, that cooperation, standardize it, raise the level, make it possible for people to use both local knowledge and Western knowledge for the benefit of the people.
The suspicion.
Yes.
is that the herbalists do not have confidence in government because they do not think that their patent, their something will be protected. All right? You ask a herbalist to tell you the combination of which type of leaves he has put together. They wouldn't want to tell you. All right?
But isn't that the problem? The fact that there is a magical, mysterious, mystical dimension to alternative medicine.
And that's probably the secret they don't want to let out to any other person.
Well, I think it would be useful at some point to also hear from the traditional medical practitioners themselves.
Yeah.
They might be able to educate us the progress that they have made towards standardizing, towards protecting patents and the rest of it. So it's good that the government has brought them into the official scene. It would be nice to know the state of their practice.
But I strongly feel
as a matter of curiosity,
they are going to very much embrace this because it's going to further sell them and what they do. So I think they would gladly embrace it.
Traditional medicine does not need to follow the Europeanized style. Please, the herbalists have their own methodology. They have their own way of preparing. A cup of agbo, local herbs there. You want to now turn that one into tablets. Then you need all these measurements, etc.
You mean herbal concoction?
Precisely.
For the benefit of people
Precisely.
who don't understand what you say.
Tea. Why don't you say tea?
No, it's not a concoction. It's not a tea. It's roots, leaves, and so combined.
They have a way of doing it, and it's working well. So let the academics, all right, come and assist them, and let them have an original, an African, in Nigeria, you know, the Mobutu Sese Seko talked about authenticism. All right? This authenticism is what we need in the context of a Nigerian herbalist. Let's be original. Don't follow the methodology adopted in Europe, in America. All right? By the time you now follow them, they are driving your attention away from developing according to self-reliant purposes. So I think that's what we should encourage.
Yeah, well, on that note...
It's clear Prof is a fan of Prado medical care.
On that note,
by the way, kind of
the authenticity of the African experience.
Yes,
I think we'll hold it here for this week. And then next week when we come back, we'll look at other issues. I want to thank you all for being part of this program. You've been watching This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on Arise News. I'm Reuben, Abati. From my entire team here in Lagos, it's bye for now. And special thanks to Tanwa Ashiru and Bode Ososami, who are our experts on today's edition of this program. Thank you very much for watching. See you.